15-year-old subject of an Amber Alert, Trinity Quinn, is now being tried along with Daniel Aaron Clark with criminal homicide and attempted auto theft and especially aggravated robbery after police believe that she was involved in the killing of a store clerk in Nashville. Heavy rains expected today. Drive with caution. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect lots of sunshine and warmer weather out there through your afternoon. Very nice highs, lower 80s. Tonight, more clouds, lows only near 60. Could see a late shower. Scattered showers and thunderstorms likely Thursday. Very breezy, highs into the upper 60s. Much cooler into the 50s with lingering showers Friday. No matter what home improvements you're working on, start with Lowe's. For great prices on everything for your lawn, garden, or kitchen and bath improvements, all projects have a starting point. Start with your neighborhood Lowe's. And I'm Sheen 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ford on Nooga Radio AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Wow! I feel good.
Well, good morning, Chattanooga. This is Thomas DeMoss, and this is the Reality Real Estate Show, where we talk about all things real estate, what's going on here in our Chattanooga market, and just try to educate you guys and entertain a little bit. I've got a world-famous entertainer with me today, so we'll introduce him in just a little bit. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a great show. I'm going to learn a lot today because we do have that world-famous entertainer, Malcolm Godwin, who is from ChattanoogaHomeInspector.com. So did I say that right, Malcolm?
Absolutely. Thank you, Thomas.
And so Malcolm has been doing this for quite some time, home inspecting. I'm going to throw it over to him in just a little bit and let him give a little bit of his background. But, you know, my name is Thomas DeMoss, and I am a local real estate agent here in Chattanooga with Keller Williams Greater Downtown Realty. We are also real estate investors. We're buying homes, looking to rehab houses all over the Chattanooga area. We've got several projects going on that we're really excited about. If you guys want to follow the progress on those projects, you can check us out on our Facebook page at I Buy Chattanooga Houses Facebook page. My cell phone number is area code 423-364-0028. Feel free to give us a shout, shoot us a text if any questions. We're also doing a Facebook Live. So, guys that out there got questions, just let us know. But let me throw it over here to Malcolm. Malcolm, why don't you take just a few minutes to tell our listeners who you are, a little bit of your background. I know you've got some military experience, sort of ish, helping aid the military, and you know, why you got into this business, and then tell about your company.
Hey, thanks, Thomas. Thanks for having me on today. My name is Malcolm Godwin with ChattanoogaHomeInspector.com. Please visit us at www.ChattanoogaHomeInspector.com. A little about myself. I was never in the military, but I did do defense contracting for about 10 to 12 years. Spent the majority of the time overseas in the Middle East, and spent several years here traveling around to different military installations. I was a subject matter expert on some vehicles and some up armor programs. A little background on after that, you know, it was 100% travel. My wife and I got married. I was never home. So a friend of mine, a real estate agent friend of mine, talked me into getting a home inspector's license. And we've messed with real estate several times, you know, a couple rental houses and stuff like that. So we just jumped in head first, got licensed and started a company. Really got to work with a lot of real estate agents and buyers to kind of see what the hiccup is between a home inspector and a real estate agent. You know, a lot of people are out there trying to, you know, kill deals. And that's not really what we want to do. We want everybody to be happy, but we obviously want to disclose any problems that they have, but then provide a good solution to work through that problem. And we've been extremely successful doing that. We've become the highest rated home inspection company in Chattanooga. And we've now got 5 full-time inspectors. So we're just trying to keep up with the demand in the crazy market.
Yeah, and we talk about this every week. This market is crazy. That sounds so redundant, and I get tired of saying it, but it is. And Malcolm just mentioned, we talk about real estate investment on the show as well. Malcolm is a real estate investor. He has seen the benefit of having that investment side portfolio in his investment portfolio, and he's done really well with it. We were talking off air about a couple of things that he's done, but let's talk about, obviously, I'm as a real estate agent. There is kind of a love-hate relationship sometimes with home inspectors.
You got that right.
But here's the thing. I mean, obviously from the listing side, I've got, I was telling you before we started, I've got several listings that your folks have come out and done home inspections on. And it, because I know you and I know your company, I know your reputation, I'm not concerned about you, what we talked about, exceeding your level of expertise or kind of making statements where you're not comfortable making them. Your guys are really good. I mean, you run a good business.
Thank you.
So let's look at it from side. And just to let folks know, in the Tennessee Association of Realtors contract, there are a couple what we call contingency clauses. The first one is the inspection contingency clause, which allows a buyer, once they have gone under contract, to have a home inspection on the property. We always encourage folks to do that because not everybody is an expert in the real estate market or even an expert in houses. Even myself, that I've looked at hundreds of houses, I'm going to miss things from time to time. Not very much, but it happens. So, there are folks in your business, in the home inspection business, that come in and do a home inspection. So, okay, let's do this. Let's take it from, a first-time home buyer who has no idea what's going on. Tell that person why you are an added value or an asset for them to call as they walk through this home buying process.
All right. So we every customer is different. So with a first-time homeowner, we're going to spend a little more time on telling them, how to shut off the electricity to the house, how to shut off the water to the house if there's a problem, how the house works in general. You say something about a person can do their own home inspection. Just so all your listeners know, the state of Georgia doesn't even require a license for a home inspector. Yeah. So, we get that all the time, or people that have an uncle or a father that, is in construction or, real estate like yourself. The thing is, we do this all day, every day, and we do continuing education. So we know exactly where to look for these problems. So whether it's a first-time homeowner or, a seasoned homeowner, our value is to go in there and to show them, present the, anything that needs addressed, ages of their, water heaters and HVAC, and the condition of the roof, the condition of the house overall, and educate them what needs to be repaired now, and what needs to be, prepared for in the future. And then we're able to provide them a very specific inspection report that has everything that they need to address right at the top, very easily able to read. And then they can go from there to ask the problem to get fixed or have it fixed, or my favorite, ask for, a little compensation off the price of the house so they can fix it, and they can fix it to their standards, and not somebody else's standards.
Okay. Well, and I appreciate that. I think that is helpful because, what we found out, obviously, I'm taking the listing agent perspective. I think most of listing clients, they want to disclose everything about their house, and they try to do a good job, but sometimes they just don't know things or areas that may be have issues. The house may have issues that they're just not aware of. So obviously, we are required to do a property disclosure if the owner has lived in the house. So that you've got that there for the buyer, just to kind of acknowledge, hey, these are the things that we know are wrong. But hey, the homeowner may or may not know about an issue, and that's where the value that a home inspector comes in. So let's talk about that. When you guys go through a house, you mentioned a couple of things that you're looking for. What are some big red flags that you look for right off the bat?
I guess there would be several things. What we really try to focus on is your main components. If somebody doesn't know the age of their roof or decides not to disclose it, because that happens, we want to let them know, hey, the roof is getting older. We recommend a roofer to come out because they can also provide you with an estimate of repairs.
Okay.
We're also going to, look inside the service panel to see, make sure that the wiring looks good.
So you mean the electrical service panel, right?
Sorry.
Inside. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to pull that cover off the electrical service panel to make sure we got the proper type of wiring in there throughout the house. We could go on and on about, you say red flags. There's a number of, foundation things that we always look for. Some older houses have improper wiring and, older plumbing and stuff like that. And whether or not it's a problem, if you have, galvanized steel for, your plumbing supply lines and cast iron for drains, they may be working now, or they may not be. So we do want to educate those people that, hey, it's working now, but, your pressure's getting a little low. So be prepared that may be something you need to fix in the future.
Okay. So that is true. And obviously with, fortunately I've got, over 10 years experience doing this. So those red flags when I'm working with my buyer clients, I mean, it's just instinctive. I'm looking at those. Basically I start from the roof down and start, making notes of things, the roof issue. I mean, I've got a pair of binoculars in my truck that I'm, that's one thing you can tell a lot with a pair of binoculars looking at a roof and see if the tabs are bent up or, the shingles are worn. But not everybody is doing that. So
not everybody has that education. A lot of people don't, remodel and rehab houses like yourself. So a lot of people just know the paperwork side of the real estate world and have no idea how to educate their buyers. So, or sellers. So that's where, we come into place.
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit about some of the, I guess the additional services that you guys, because generally, okay, let's talk about this. What is a basic home inspection encompass? What are you looking at? Kind of you talked about the major components, but let's give some folks those major components, list them, kind of tell what you're looking for, and then we'll go to those kind of additional services, so to speak.
You got it. So our standard residential home inspection is going to consist of, like we talked about, roof. It's just so people know out there, the state of Tennessee has regulations of what we're supposed to look at and what we're not supposed to look at. A lot of times, if a roof is inaccessible, the home inspector has a right not to even look at it. So we go, the extra mile with drones and all that kind of stuff to take a look at that. But we're looking at the roof, we're looking at the attic, insulation, electrical, plumbing, what's coming into the house as far as plumbing, what's going out of the house, the foundation. We go through, we make sure the doors work, the windows work. We're plugging our testers into electrical outlets to make sure that they're properly grounded. We run all the appliances to make sure they work, everything correctly. We fill all the sinks and the tubs and the toilets. And then we get in the crawl space, basement, what have you, and make sure that, the foundation looks good and make sure that there's no problems there.
Okay. Once again, this is Thomas DeMoss, and this is Reality Real Estate on NoogaRadio.com. And I've got my guest here, Malcolm Godwin. He is with ChattanoogaHomeInspector.com. That is an interesting name. I'm really surprised nobody else took that before you came into the business.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. With our website, our home buying website, ibuychattanoogahouses.com. Very simple,
good one.
Very straightforward, but I'm always surprised so I always do find kind of rabbit trail, but I always find myself, if I have a good idea for a website, I'll go buy the URL from GoDaddy just so nobody else can see.
I would have bought this one from you. We have a couple competitors that have similar names, and it's actually kind of funny because we encourage our customers to leave us reviews, but sometimes they actually go onto our competitor's website and leave them reviews, and it was supposed to be for us. So it's kind of funny.
It does happen. It does happen. So, all right. So let's talk about an investment and cost. What is it,
Jerry?
Yeah, we've got some fans here. Malcolm's got his groupies. But what is a typical home inspection cost?
So the price of a home inspection at our company starts at $357, and it's dependent on the size of the house, the age of the house, and the foundation type. We're pretty competitively priced, but we're certainly not the cheapest people out there. And we know that there's a reason that we're slightly more expensive because, we have tons of drones, thermal imaging equipment, the top of the line software, the top of the line moisture meters. I mean, the moisture meter I have in my truck is $600. So a lot of people aren't using this kind of equipment, which I think is a disservice to their customers, but there's a reason that we charge a little bit more than most.
Okay. And I think that's fair. I mean, when you're buying a house, you don't want something done cheaply. You want value. And I do think that, and now the 357, is that because you're a gun aficionado and you just love to shoot, or is there a reason for the 357 there as far as the baseline price?
Well, I am a gun aficionado. Yeah. But no, that's just a calculated price that we have, paying our employees. We pay our employees real good, keep them happy because they know their stuff. It's not easy to keep good people. And our equipment and stuff like that, it's just a formulated process that we've come up with over time. Okay.
And I've seen your report. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, so I've seen multiple inspection reports. I mean, your report is extensive. I think sometimes it's about 80 pages, but it's not daunting. It's very clearly laid out. Like you said, the first couple of pages kind of detail the pros and cons of the house, advantages, disadvantages, which makes it easier for me to kind of summarize everything. So I think it is a very, valuable report that you give. So we've talked about the components. We've talked about the cost. Do you see that question there?
Yeah, we can address that. So we have somebody asking, should a code inspector overrule a home inspector with the homeowner? Us as home inspectors don't inspect to code. And the reason is because code only exists on a brand new house or one that's being brought up to, those standards. We're dealing with homes that are built in 1910, 1980. All those had different codes at the time. So we're going to tell our customers, what is the modern day safety standard as far as electrical stuff, handrails, etc. But as far as codes, we don't really go into codes because, unless it's a brand new house. And we've actually seen the city sign off. I'm not going to name. Well, okay. I've seen a code inspector sign off on a house that was actually missing a main electrical service disconnect. This is a big problem. And it was a brand new house.
That is a big problem.
His signature was right there. So, somebody was friends with the builder, I guess, and went ahead and signed off on that house. And that's incorrect. So, a code inspector is good, but, you just can't win them all.
Yeah. And that, obviously that's where you're coming in to kind of, double check those things. But no, it's interesting. So, all right. So we talked about that, the basic kind of the primary function, what you guys are looking at. We talked about another hot issue, before the show about radon. Can you tell our folks here, I know we're kind of running up on the break, but tell our folks about radon and why it's important that they should test for that.
Okay. So a lot of people are uneducated in this area because they don't think it's a problem, but radon is literally the nuclear waste byproduct of radium. And that's a natural occurring gas that that seeps up from the ground. It is the second leading cause of lung cancer. It causes 27,000 deaths a year. And if you just look at the EPA's website, epa.gov, they'll have a map for you. And it shows that Hamilton County is in a moderate county where we find, moderate levels. And when we go west to us, like Cleveland and stuff, they're in actually a high county to find higher levels of radon. It's a low-lying, invisible, tasteless, odorless gas. So it being low-lying, we typically find it in basements and stuff like that. The problem with it is, you never know if it's going to be without a test. You're not going to know if it's in your house. Unless we do a test. I was talking earlier offline that if you go to Tennessee.gov, they actually have a free test. It's a charcoal canister. It's not as accurate as our test. I would encourage everybody to go check that out to get a free test, and then you send it to the lab. Our tests are a lot more accurate. We bring in a radon machine that does a continuous monitoring for 48 hours, and it does a test every 4 hours to test the levels of that. And then if it's a problem, there's ways to mitigate it, which is actually pretty simple. But without testing, you're never going to know if it's in your house or not.
Okay. So, and to mitigate it, essentially, you just need an exhaust system to pull that out of your house. That's what I've seen done most of the time.
Yep, that's exactly it. Depending on the foundation type, if you have a basement where they're usually going to dig a core hole somewhere in the basement, and they plumb it with PVC. over your roof line, and they install a small fan that runs 24/7.
Okay.
And all that's doing, because radon is a low-lying dense gas, it pulls that air from underneath the foundation and exhausts it from the top.
Okay.
So that's usually a pretty inexpensive fix.
So before it even gets into the house, it is eliminating it as much as it can.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there are acceptable levels. The EPA says, we measured this in paracuries. The EPA says if the level is 4.0 or higher, mitigation is recommended.
Okay. Now, were you a science kid?
Not really.
Those are some big words. But yeah, no, the radon, I think that is extremely important. A lot of folks are not even aware of it. And what you had mentioned, folks that are not accustomed to the area, the topography, the land, up on Big Ridge, we're here doing the show in Hickson. I've had several clients in Hickson up on Big Ridge that have had radon tests, and there have been elevated levels that were, cause for concern. And these were folks who were living in this house that they didn't even know it. So it was unfortunate, but I do encourage folks to have that, especially if you're buying a house with a basement. That's where your kids are playing. It's extremely important. And let's just talk about cost. What does something like that cost?
So if we do a radon inspection with our home inspections, it's $125.
Okay. That's not a bad price to pay for peace of mind and safety.
I mean, to know that you don't have, the second leading cause of lung cancer in your house, I think it's well worth $125. Yeah. We charge a little bit extra if it's a standalone radon inspection without a home inspection, because it does take us at least twice to go out there, drop off our machine, and then pick it up later. Okay.
Well, I think that's good information to have. And $125 is insignificant when you're talking about the severity and the, how important this issue is for people to be aware of. So I appreciate that. So once again, my name is Thomas DeMoss. This is Reality Real Estate. I've got our guest here, Malcolm Godwin with ChattanoogaHomeInspector.com. We're talking about real estate. We're talking about what is a home inspection, why you should have it, what's so important about it, how much it costs. So if you guys have got questions, we're doing a Facebook Live. Send them over to us. We'd love to answer those the best we can. We've talked about a lot of things now. So is there something other than what we've already talked about that, I guess, let's say that a buyer is not working with an agent that is seasoned or experienced as somebody, like myself, that's been looking at houses forever. What does that buyer need to look for? Just, when they're walking into a house, are there things that they need? They're not going to open up the electrical panel, obviously, but, we've talked about the roof. Are there other things that you would say, be on the lookout for this, because this is something you may want to be aware of before you even write a contract up?
Only having 2 minutes left before the break, that's a tough question to answer. A lot of things, a lot of problems in houses that are easy fixes that contribute large problems is water. So I would make sure your gutters are properly, routed away from the house. Make sure that the grading, make sure that the earth doesn't literally come against the foundation of the house in a negative grade manner, because where's that water going to go? It's going to go in your basement, your crawl space, something like that. And people don't get in their crawl spaces. So even if they do know that it's a problem, I mean, when's the last time you've been in your crawl space, Thomas?
It's been a while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And nor do I get mine. I'll be honest. I had a water leak in my crawl space. I didn't know it until the cable guy told me about it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how could that happen?
And you tried to sign him up to be a home inspector for you after?
It was a bad water leak too. I just don't get my own crawl space. So that's a good thing to look out for. But it all depends on when the house was built. There's tons of different items. I would encourage, if you've got a couple of questions right off the bat, visit our webpage or give me a call. 423-284-1510. We'll be glad to, talk with you just for a few minutes while you're doing your initial walkthrough, to look for some telltale signs about what's going on with the house.
Okay. Well, that is good information to have. So yeah, we're coming up on the break here, but we will be back with Malcolm Godwin from ChattanoogaHomeInspector.com. And this is Thomas DeMoss, and my cell number is 423-364-0028. Once again, we are Reality Real Estate. We're talking about all things real estate here. We're going to jump into some other topics, I'd like to learn a little bit about mold and how that is handled in the house. I want to ask Malcolm a little bit about those ungrounded outlets that always show up on the home inspection report. So we will talk about these things when we get back. But once again, we're doing a Facebook Live. You guys check us out there. My name's Thomas DeMoss. This is Reality Real Estate. So we will see you guys just after the break.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com, Chattanooga's premier house buyer. Do you have a house you need to sell fast? We're buying. Call us today. We are local folks. We will buy your house as is, no repairs needed. We will give you a cash offer and close on the day of your choice. Call us right now, 423-834-7321. Need to sell a house fast? We are buying. Are you experiencing one of these situations? Inherited a house you have no need for? Behind on your property taxes? Nightmare tenants making your life miserable? Too many repairs needed and don't have a desire to fix? Behind on payments and facing foreclosure? Recently divorced and need a way out of the house? Never really wanted to be a landlord and just want to cash out? Trying to relocate and need to sell your house? Do you need to sell a house fast? We are buying. No fees, no hassles, no repair costs. Close on the day of your choice. Our process is simple. Call us today. We inspect your property right away. We make you a fair cash offer. We close on the day of your choice. Call us today, 423-834-7321. Visit our website, iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com. Call us today, 423-834-7321. iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. News now. A lover's dispute almost leads to murder. Lanita Jean Binford, who's 34, from Orchard Knob, has been charged with attempted first-degree murder after a man says that she lunged at him with a knife but missed and then drove away in a car. The reason this all happened is because Miss Binford says that the man broke up with her and lied about being divorced. A police officer was right around the corner and arrested her after she sped off. The former vice mayor of Saudi Daisy is now suing the city after she fell and hurt her ankle badly. She's now suing the city for $175,000. C. Mark Warren is representing her. He says that she sustained significant injuries to her right leg at the Pioneer Day celebration when she tripped over a cinder block that was securing a tent. 15-year-old subject of an Amber Alert, Trinity Quinn, is now being tried along with Daniel Aaron Clark with criminal homicide and attempted auto theft and especially aggravated robbery after police believe that she was involved in the killing of a store clerk in Nashville. Heavy rains expected today. Drive with caution. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect lots of sunshine and warmer weather out there through your afternoon. Very nice highs, lower 80s. Tonight, more clouds, lows only near 60. Could see a late shower. Scattered showers and thunderstorms likely Thursday. Very breezy, highs into the upper 60s. Much cooler into the 50s with lingering showers Friday. No matter what home improvements you're working on, start with Lowe's. For great prices on everything for your lawn, garden, or kitchen and bath improvements, all projects have a starting point. Start with your neighborhood Lowe's. And I'm Sheen 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ford on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I feel good.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Thomas DeMoss with Reality Real Estate. I've got my guest here, Malcolm Godwin with ChattanoogaHomeInspector.com. I am saying that right, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we've talked about a bunch of different things, and so we're going to get into some specific things. We appreciate you guys joining us. Malcolm, why don't you give your contact information, how folks can get in contact with you and maybe reach out, ask you some questions, pick your brain a little bit.
Great. Thank you so much. Our office number is 423-284-1510. If you got any questions, please shoot them that way. We can get them answered for you pretty quickly. We've got a ton of information on our website. It's www.ChattanoogaHomeInspector.com. We've got a ton of information there. Also online, you can schedule inspections, reach out to us and ask some questions and things like that too.
Cool. All right. So what type of information do you have on your website? If somebody goes there, I mean, give our listeners, what can they expect when they go to your website? Well, do you have links to other sites? Is it,
Sure. We try to be pretty comprehensive in our website, obviously. So we've got, how a home inspection works, a little information on our radon and our 5-star packages and stuff like that, just enough to try to educate those people that maybe are unfamiliar with the home buying process or are familiar. It kind of goes over some of our services and stuff. We've added several services to our residential home inspections that are not completely updated on the website yet. So just let us know and we can talk about those later.
So we need to get your web administrator to update that site.
Yes, we do.
So when we left, we were talking about some specific things, and Malcolm gave kind of some overall components that they're looking for. You've got the roof, the HVAC, the water heater, water issues in the basement, some electrical problems. One of the things that I've run into is mold. So tell our listeners, how do you spot mold? I mean, there's mold, there's mildew. Is it because somebody just didn't clean the house, or is there water? How do they determine a difference, and what do they need to look for?
So for all the real estate agents out there, this is the dreaded M word.
Yes.
So, for us to determine if a fungal activity is mold, for anybody to determine that, there's only one way, and that's to send it to the lab. Okay. So if anybody says, there's mold growing, how do they know that? Unless they properly captured that sample and sent it to the lab and had them test it. Our process is there's a couple different types to capture that sample. We can do an indoor air quality sample, which we put a mold pump, which is just an air pump, through a specific cassette. And we typically run 15 liters of air per minute through that cassette for 5 minutes. We'll do an outside sample also to do a control method. And then we send that to the lab. We test for 42 different types of molds, and we test for the concentration of each. Where is it and how is it? Believe it or not, mold spores are everywhere. They only become a problem when we give them something to eat, and that's moisture. Okay. So, there's typical telltale signs of, if some fungal growth is going on in a house. One is, do we smell it musty? Is there something growing? And then we can do the indoor air quality sample. We can do a swab. We can do a couple things to determine what that is. It's kind of expensive because the lab charges us a good bit of money.
Yeah.
And really, the goal would be investigate why it's there. Right. It's probably going to be a moisture issue. So our goal is to figure out what that is. And a lot of times, unless families have respiratory problems or anything like that, because of the high cost of a mold test, we're going to encourage them to just repair what it is instead of even having the test. So if we know there's a wet wall from a gutter or whatever it is, we're just going to encourage to fix or repair that instead of getting the test. But certainly we can do the test too.
Okay. And let me just ask you, because what you said is mold feeds on moisture. Yeah, I know. I hate that word because you hear it all the time. I mean, it could be, people just don't clean up their kitchen, and it's like, oh, you got black mold over there.
Right.
So, and that I appreciate what you said, that you really can't diagnose it until you actually send it off to the lab and figure out what it actually is. So, but yeah, it is a problem. And what you mentioned before, mold is caused by moisture. So if you take the food source away, you think the mold's going to go away once you've corrected the problem. And you mentioned a couple of things before that I think is, important for homeowners to do with water getting into the house. You mentioned making sure your gutters are clean. And, those are small things that folks can do on their own. And I mean, you just make sure that water is diverted away from the house. You slant everything away from the house. You can utilize that by building it up with mulch or a flower bed and just building the dirt up away from the house to where if the water comes, it flows away from the house. So I think those are extremely important things that would probably eliminate a lot of the moisture problems that you may be having.
Absolutely right.
So the only other thing you have to worry about after that is a busted pipe, like you were talking about.
And that happens too.
So just check your crawl space out every now and then. Send a kid up under there, a small one, and have them root around there to see if there's any issues.
You're right about that.
Malcolm does have small children that he uses to put under the houses. No,
that is not true.
This is
not true, everybody.
Oh, we got to have a little bit of fun on here. But no, Malcolm's a good guy. He I think what's interesting, and you run a good business.
Thank you very much.
You're a good business person. Obviously, your reputation, you have a great reputation. I think it is valuable to you.
For the most part.
Absolutely.
We try, we work hard to keep that good reputation. Everybody does. That's our name, but can't make everybody happy in this world.
I understand that. That is definitely a challenge. But now you've got, so you're actually the owner of the business and you're doing home inspections personally, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you've got a team of guys and gals, or guys, and
we do have 5 guys that are inspectors, and then including myself, and then we have our office staff is a young lady that's very helpful also.
Okay. So you've got the capacity basically to kind of take care of everybody's needs.
Pretty much, yeah. If some people don't know out there, the typical once you sign a contract on a real estate or a house, there's typically a 10-day window that you have to get your inspections done. If somebody calls us, we're a couple days out, but 10 days is not a whole lot of time. So we do try to bend over backwards to get to that time and reach that deadline. Yeah,
it is interesting. We used to see that 10-day period. Now I'm seeing extended out to 15 days because our market is so hot, and folks like yourself are just covered up. It's if you're the listing agent, you want that to be as short a period of time as possible so we can get the house sold. But you're running into that, and that's just a natural occurrence in a hot market to where houses are selling. And I know you're an in-demand guy, and like I said, you want to meet everybody's needs. You can only be so many places at once, which is why you've got a good team that you've surrounded yourself with. So let me ask you about that team, because I myself are building a team. I've got partners that I work with in the real estate end. So where were you at that level of comfort to say, well, I can't do this all by myself? And what did you go out to ensure that people or your team is going to do as good a job or better than what you were actually going to do?
I think when anybody gets to the point where they expand to hire people, like, it's tough because that's our livelihood. That's that's us. So to try, and I guess I might be a little bit of a micromanager. Sorry to any of our team that's listening. And it's because that's our livelihood. We have a very thorough training process, and it's pretty lengthy to make sure that everybody's on the right page, as when I'm doing an inspection versus our guys, that it looks the same all the time. And there's constant quality assurance and quality control, from myself and our other guys, because they're good. They've been doing this for a while. They do it again all day, every day. And, we scrub that to constant group text of, further education and stuff like that.
Okay. So let's talk about this. You talk about further education. We do have a question here. Let me throw this out. So we were talking about mold earlier, and I don't know whether it's just, the standard practice is to throw bleach on it and kill it.
That's what everybody does. So the question is, how effective is bleach on taking care of mold? A lot of mold people will tell you it'll hide it, and that's it. It'll come back. I have heard there's a lot of conflicting stories. I've heard a combination of bleach and hydrogen peroxide actually will kill it. I got a good mold friend that says he uses Dawn dish detergent.
Really?
And actually has to scrub the mold off. So how effective is bleach? It's better than nothing, but it's not the overall cure for that.
Okay. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on a online mold cleaner that was supposed to wipe everything out. And
how'd that work?
I don't know. I hadn't had a chance to test it. I found it in my crawl space the other day when I was actually going under there.
So next time we find fungal growth in a house, Thomas is going to test this highly expensive substance out for us.
I could sell it to you for a really, really discounted price.
We'll give it a try.
But okay, so let's talk about some of the things. What we wanted to educate you folks on, if you're not aware. There are life expectancy for most of your major components of your house, for your roof, HVAC. So I'm going to ask Malcolm to tell us, what are those life expectancies for the, water heater, HVAC, to see if he can do the best job he can to answer those questions.
So we probably have some questions come up now because everybody has a different opinion on this answer. And the real answer is it varies drastically by how you take care of your stuff. We know that standard asphalt 3-tab shingles have roughly a 20-year life. If you go with the architectural dimensional style, they have roughly a 30. That depends on, is your roof properly vented? What kind of vents do you have? Turbine vents, fixed vents, thermostatically controlled power vents, ridge vents, et cetera, et cetera. So that's going to be what we typically see would be 20 years on a 3-tab shingle. You get 5 or 10 more out of the architectural. It's worth, I think, in my opinion, it's worth the extra couple $100.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
A water heater typically has a lifespan of 10 to 15 years. And a lot of people will disagree with that, saying, well, mine is only lasting 6 or 8. I understand that. But this is typical. Last week, I saw a water heater that was manufactured in 1974.
Still going strong.
And it's still going strong. And again, it all depends. There's things you can do to extend the life of your water heater. Gas is going to last a little longer, typically. There's, if you drain your water heater to get that sediment out every year or two, that's going to drastically expand the life. A lot of people don't know there's a sacrificial anode rod in the top of your water heater that is designed to eat away before it eats away the tank of that water heater. It's about $15.
Yeah, they sell those at Home Depot and Lowe's, right? Yeah,
for $15, people. And that it'll again is sacrificial. So that chemical exchange when the water's heated, it eats away at that before it eats away at your tank. And HVAC typically has a lifespan of 15 to 20 years. Again, HVAC people may argue with me on that. Some people say they don't work like they used to, or they're not built like they used to work. And I want to say that with caution because, there's some companies out there that specializes in keeping that unit going.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And some people that specialize in trying to sell you a new unit for not when you don't need it. But are you maintaining it? Are you having it serviced? Are you cleaning it? And then if you do have an old unit, a lot of people say, we can just keep it going. And I understand that. That's cool. But is there a trade-off to, pumping Freon in it every couple of years or every year? And then as older of a unit, you have a lot lower SEER level, which is the energy rating. So at some point, it may make sense for you to upgrade to a new unit to get that thermal efficiency.
Absolutely, and that makes sense. I think the easiest thing to do on your HVAC unit is change out the filter. We've seen those time and time again. They're just clogged with pet hair, and that just kills the efficiency on a unit. And it taxes it. It wears it out. It really does.
So what a lot of people don't realize is but think about after that filter, it goes to an air handler inside that nobody looks at.
Yeah.
And that hair and the dust and all that stuff is building up there. So we recommend having it serviced by an HVAC tech because they'll clean that out. Inside, your HVAC unit, if it is getting all that hair there, it's just working harder. Which is 1, energy bills, and then 2, obviously, it's going to deplete the life expectancy of that unit.
Right. And I think that is important to know. There are simple things that most homeowners can do to avoid a lot of these issues and extend the life. And what you mentioned, and I've learned this over time, especially about the roof. You can have a brand new roof put on your house, but if it is not properly ventilated, it is not going to last. And also, what you were talking about, life expectancy, most shingle manufacturers have a manufacturer's warranty. It's limited because they're limiting to say, you've got to put this on in accordance with our directions, otherwise you void the warranty. So,
and read their directions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say this: always find a reputable roofing installer, HVAC installer to give you that input that you need to make those units and that roof and any of the other components of your house last as long as it can, until, like you said, it reaches that point to where, it's not efficient and it's costing you more money than what it's worth. And it's time to make that change. So absolutely.
I agree. And that's just going to be dependent on, each consumer.
Right. Okay. So once again, I'm Thomas DeMoss. This is Reality Real Estate. This is on Nooga Radio. We're on 92.7. I've got my guest here, Malcolm Godwin. He is with ChattanoogaHomeInspector.com. We've just been talking about a lot of things about houses. Now let me kind of go down the real estate investment track here. You do have some real estate investments. What was the appeal? What said, hey, I want to go buy some rental property. Why did you do that?
I mean, I guess with anybody getting into it, we anticipate, a solid income that just keeps on coming in. We don't really think about deferred maintenance and people trashing your place and stuff like that, which happens. But, it's such a good market that, we're in and out of houses all day long. So if we see one we like, we'll see if we can't invest.
Yeah, absolutely. I always encourage folks to do that. I think it's a great item to have in your investment portfolio. There is, we've talked about this before, there's so many tax advantages. I mean, we have a president, whether you like him or not, he is pro real estate. So our tax code is set up to advantage folks in that respect with deductions and things like that. I mean, if you're a homeowner, you're getting to deduct all your mortgage interest, which is great. So if anybody tells you your congressman's not going to vote for that one, you need to shoot them an email and say, no, we need that. So yeah, it is interesting. That's why, I think Malcolm is good at what he does. He's in this all day long. It's his business. You can really tell he enjoys what he does. And I've said this before, he's a businessman. And I say that in a positive way. I mean, he values his reputation. And you said you're the highest rated home inspector in Chattanooga.
Yep. If you Google it, you'll see us pop up. I think we're the highest rated on Google, Bing, Yelp, Insider Pages, Better Business Bureau, and a couple others.
Okay. Well, good job. Good job on that. That's definitely something to be proud of. So one of the things.
Thank you to our customers for leaving us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is important. I love when, we'll get testimonials from listing clients or buying clients, or even folks that we bought houses from. At the end of the day, you want them to have a wonderful experience and to acknowledge that. And I think that means so much, especially kind of what we do where, we're dealing with houses and real estate, and it's emotional, and people, everybody's involved in it. It's really neat to see.
I agree. And just not to cut you off, sorry. Even the reviews that we get that are not so positive, help us for further in quality assurance to make sure that we are providing the best possible service to our customers.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because, we talked about this. I had a client of mine, listing client. We closed the house last week and I said, look, just, tell me what I didn't do that you were not, that you thought I could do better.
If you're not asking that, you're not doing, you're kind of doing a disservice to your customer. So good for you.
And it was tough. Because we have we don't want to hear it. But she told me, it was kind of a very small thing. This was an emotional situation. She was dealing with the sale of her parents' house. So she was very candid. I thanked her for that. It was constructive criticism. She appreciated everything that I'd done. But she said, look, I kind of felt like, if you could improve on this. And I valued that because like you said, we're not perfect. We're trying to strive towards getting better every day in what we do. And the thing that I've seen is not everybody is like me. They don't have the viewpoint or the background or the experience that I do, which forms the way that I do some things. And that's a good thing. I'm okay with that. I'm glad not everybody's like me. It would be a sad world.
I agree. If you need to sell a house, call Thomas.
I appreciate that. But it is different. And I think those reviews and those testimonials are great. So we're kind of running out of time, but I do want to give Malcolm an opportunity because his company is a little bit different. They have got, an expansive amount of services that they offer. And he was telling me in some respects, he's one of the only people that offers this service. So why don't you take a few minutes and tell our folks, what is your breadth of offering in the home inspection service?
Thanks for that. Excuse me. So on top of our standard residential home inspections, we offer a number of additional items that we can do. We talked about radon testing. We can do mold testing. We do septic dye testing, where we flush some concentrated dye packs down the toilet, run it with a couple 100 gallons of water behind it to see if there's any real evident leaks in your leach fields in a septic tank. We do something that's real cool is pool testing. So we actually we run all the pool and then the pool systems, and then we plug all the lines and pressurize them to see if there's any leaks in those underground plumbing lines. And I'll be honest, it's kind of often. Somebody doesn't winterize the pool 1 year, and that's going to happen. We do, like I said, we got a bunch of drones, so we always try to, if we can, get a nice aerial photo for our customers. We don't obviously charge for that.
Because that's the way you get to play with your toys.
Yes. That's how we get to justify the buying the drones. But we do a couple other things. We do some lead-based testing, and just a number. I mean, there's really not a whole lot that we don't do because we want to give the best possible service to our customer. So we'll try to do that.
Well, I think that is interesting. I mean, people can come to you for just about everything, which is great. I mean, you have positioned your company to be kind of the experts in all those fields. So there's, from a consumer standpoint, there's really no reason for them to go anywhere else. I mean, I think you provide a good value for that. We've talked about you're not the cheapest guy out there, which, hey, you don't need to be. I mean, you are truly providing a value. I mean, the drone thing is really cool. I've actually seen that on a couple of inspections that you've done for clients of mine. I mean, it's you can get a perspective on a house that you just can't get. Unless you can fly. And I'm not sure that you've incorporated that into your abilities yet. So I
know we only got a minute left, but I also just wanted to tell, something that's been a real hot thing for us lately is a roof inspection. Because a lot of insurance companies are offering a drastic discount on your deductible if your roof is less than 5 or 7 years old. A lot of people, it's just $100. They pay us to come out there, give them a letter that says, in our opinion, it's less than a certain age, and they're saving a ton of money. So
okay, well, that's good to know.
I'll be able to take that with you. Yeah,
that is good. Yeah, and with all the wind and the storms that we've been having, it is. I think that's important. I think half of my neighborhood has gotten a new roof lately. Wow. So I've been able to. My roofer loves me because I'm referring him out all the time. So he's told me he's giving me a good discount when it's my time.
Good.
Well, Malcolm, why don't we take just a few seconds as we close? Tell folks, how to get in touch with you. Any other parting thoughts that you want to leave our listeners with?
Thank you, Thomas, for having us on today, or me on today. I really appreciate that. For everybody out there, you can get a hold of us at 423-284-1510, or check us out online at www.chattanoogaHomeInspector.com. You'll see tons of info, how to get a hold of us and all that. And thank you for having us on. I hope somebody got a little bit of info out of it.
Yeah, I think it was informative. I've actually learned some things today, and so we appreciate you being on. But once again, my name is Thomas DeMoss. This is the Reality Real Estate Show. Check us out. Like I said, we've got projects going on. We've got our iBuyChattanoogaHouses.com website. If you need to sell a house, check that out, and follow us on Facebook at I Buy Chattanooga Houses to keep up with our latest projects that we've got going on. We've got stuff going on in Highland Park in North Chattanooga. We're busy. It's a good time.
Call him 423-834-7321.
Thank you, Malcolm, as he reads the sign backwards. You guys have a great day. We'll see you later.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and